John 3:30. Illum oportet crescere, me autem minui. It is necessary that that one should increase, but that I should decrease or be diminished. This is one of my very favorite verses in the New Testament, so I'm going to indulge in a little bit of friendly theologizing here, if you will permit me. This could be and should be the motto for every Christian. Illum oportet crescere, me autem minui. The purpose of John the Baptist's life here, as he summarizes so succinctly, is to glorify God in the person of Jesus Christ, and that necessarily involves the fading of himself, that is, of John the Baptist, into the background. And this is a beautiful thing that he's doing, and he wants to make sure that his disciples understand it. This is the last part of his discourse with them, as he's trying to explain to them why they don't need to be concerned or jealous that Jesus and his disciples are baptizing in the same area. John's making clear exactly what his role is. He is the friend of the bridegroom, not the bridegroom himself, who has come to rescue God's people, the bride. So he starts with oportet. Often in classical Latin, it is fitting, but quite frequently, especially in later Latin and certainly in the Vulgate, sometimes a straight-up synonym for necessa est, that is something a little bit stronger. It is necessary. This must happen. It is necessary, and this introduces an accusative infinitive construction, where here the person who needs to or must do something is in the accusative case, and the action that must be done is the infinitive. It is necessary that he, and again, illum here is really just equivalent to is, as very often in the Vulgate. It is necessary that he grow, increase, be made greater. That is not in the objective sense, but that he should be made to seem greater in the eyes of mankind, in the eyes of those who are watching, like John's disciples, for instance. And we've got to add some punctuation here in English just to separate these two neat clauses. Me autem minui. But, and this is for sure an autem with an adversative sense. There's no doubt about it in this passage. But, and we've got to supply oportet again. Oportet me minui. It is necessary, on the other hand, that I, in contrast, should become less, should be less made much of, to put it a little awkwardly in English. What is minui? From minuo, to grow lesser, third conjugation verb. This is the present passive infinitive. And remember those third conjugation verbs. If you think of dico, dicere, dixi, dictum, what's the passive infinitive from dico? Dici. They're not formed precisely the same way as our passive infinitives for other conjugations, so you've got to watch out for that. But I don't want to take the focus off the meaning for too long here, because this is such a beautiful and majestic verse. Let's just look at its literary qualities for a moment. We can't go on before we notice these. Me autem minui. Notice especially the alliteration of me minui. Notice that each of these two clauses are perfectly balanced. They're what we call, in Greek rhetorical terms, isokola. That is, they're two clauses that are not precisely the same number of syllables, but precisely the same number of words. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Could there be a more perfectly balanced contrast even in the words? If you think about the English translation, listen to how clunky it is by comparison. It is necessary that he should increase, but that I should decrease. Now, English compensates a little bit by giving kind of the rhyme in increase and decrease, but it's just not as good. I think you will agree with me. Illum oportet crescere, me autem minui. Whoever was the first to translate this from Greek into Latin in the Roman world, and of course, we'll never know that person's name, or at least not in our lives on the earth, they did a very good job. And Jerome, either this is Jerome's work, in the sense that he was improving on something that was already there, Or perhaps this is more or less the shape that it was in, and Jerome had the good sense to leave it as it was and not to spoil its solid magnificence. But either way, it's something we can be grateful for. If you haven't been committing any of the Vulgate to memory, and I've got to ask you, if you haven't been, what are you doing with your life? This would be an excellent place to start. John 3:30. Look, even the verse number's easy to remember. John 3:30. Illum oportet crescere, me autem minui. Take this as your personal motto. You could do worse, certainly, than to make this your rule for life. Illum oportet crescere, me autem minui.